This is Brother Dan, one half of Siblings in Zion. The other half, as we have discussed on the show, is currently in China. All of the episodes of this first season have already been recorded several months before they're going to be published. So as I was doing production on this episode in particular, I felt like it might be appropriate to do a quick introduction, as this is actually an abridged version of 2 episodes that Lisa did on my other podcast called The Fundamentals. We did a 4-part series on Mormonism, which is more than we've ever done on any subject on that show. And the last 2 were LDS missionaries, in which Lisa talked about her mission primarily. And number 4, the general theme was leaving the LDS church. So you can listen to those full episodes on the Fundamentals podcast, and I'll leave links in the description. And this is a condensed version of those 2, as basically a closer look at Lisa's history in the church, her mission, her faith crisis, and so forth, and our relationship all through that. So I just wanted to give you a primer on that. And the Fundamentals, as we briefly discussed, I think, in the first episode of this show, is a podcast where me and my friends, every episode, are discussing a new, different topic that we wanted to learn more about and to deep dive into, similar to things like Stuff You Should Know or Last Podcast on the Left, even though we had never heard either of those shows before we started doing this 5 years ago. But we've covered a variety of topics from religion, science, biology, biographies. We've run the gamut over the years, and we are still doing it. And I will say we actually are very soon going to be changing the name of our show. When we started all those years ago, there was no other show called The Fundamentals, and it seemed perfect for the theme. However, in the last few years, as podcasting has kind of exploded, there have been several other shows coming up with the same name or fundamentals in the title, and it's been difficult to kind of stay above them in search results and stuff like that. So we are currently building up to changing the name to Everywhere You Go is Bullshit, which is, as far as I can tell, is not a phrase that has ever existed. So hopefully that will help with name recognition. The show will pretty much be the same. We're going to change the focus on the research a little bit, but if you're interested in that at all, that will be discussed on the Fundamentals podcast. And when that name change happens, I will update the links in the show notes here so that it will be found properly. So hopefully that all makes sense and sets the stage for this episode. You will hear my partners Darren and Martin Wallace on the show with us, and neither of them were Mormon, and they have been kind of fascinated by all of the technical terms and jargon and ridiculous stuff that comes along with that. So please enjoy this special episode of Siblings in Zion. So let's start with Lisa's summation of growing up as a member of the church.
Yeah. I mean, when you get your patriarchal blessing, I think you guys have talked about that a little bit. It talks about like
A little bit.
Your status before this life. So like me being born in the covenant is like, oh, you were really a good person. So you were blessed with the best.
Slipped you right in there.
Yeah, just ready to go.
Head start.
Wait, so they just start off by telling you you're better than your brother?
I mean, yeah. I mean, not in so many words, but like essentially.
Yep.
Good so far.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your last life was better than his.
Yeah, I was more valiant or something like that.
They love that word, valiant.
Valiant. Yeah.
A lot of courage in that word.
That's a real like white person thinking about the Middle Ages kind of word.
Yeah,
Right?
valiant.
Yeah.
The Crusades were valiant.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So I'm, little kid going to primary, which is like Sunday school for the little kids. And you just sing songs and learn about Jesus. And then when it was time for me to get baptized at 8, I, for some reason, was so adamant that it be Daniel that baptized me.
How cool.
Like, usually it's your dad. Usually, like, boys and girls, it's just like routine for the dad to do it. But I wanted it to be Daniel. So I asked him to do that. And then my dad was the one that it's called setting apart, where you get the gift of the Holy Ghost. So they basically like just put their hands on your head
So many
and give
so
you
many
the gift of the
procedures.
Holy
Yeah.
Ghost.
I
Bring that
couldn't
back.
set her apart because I didn't have the Melchizedek priesthood.
Right. He only had the Aaronic priesthood. Yeah. So I'm baptized. My
A lot
sins
of
are washed
vocabulary
away.
words.
So that's the stumbling block for me.
Yeah,
It's just,
that's true. There's a lot of lingo, jargon.
you guys just say these things. No one says these things outside
Right.
of this church.
It's true.
These aren't real things that exist outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, most people on this continent don't shove that many consonants into the middle of a word
No.
in the first place.
Yeah.
Too hard.
Z's and D's and K's just right in the middle there.
Yeah.
Melchizedek.
Yeah.
So that, at the time, I'm not quite 19 years old. It means a lot to me that my little sister wants me to do that. So even though I don't really, at this point, I mean, I definitely don't have any interest in serving a mission, which would be right around the corner for me,
Mhm.
or participating any more than I absolutely have to while I live with my family. I go through the rigmarole of making sure that in the eyes of the church, I'm worthy to do this act.
Mhm.
So I repented and I acted it out, essentially, so that I played by the rules in order to do this for her, I guess, just in case.
So I could have a valid,
Yeah.
like, baptism.
How aware
off that baggage.
were you that he was feeling that way or faking it?
I think I was, at that point, Daniel was just like a perfect person.
Mhm.
Like I just totally looked up to him. He could do no wrong. So I had no
8
idea.
years old.
Right.
So, went to Young Women's every week. Got told that like my sole purpose in life was to become a wife and a mother.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
we made lists about like the qualities that we wanted in a husband. Not like, qualities about yourself.
An older guy, like 21, 22.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Mature.
Super
His
mature
missionary.
and return
His
missionary.
dad is a landscaping company, something,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good.
Good times. Yep.
God.
Do you remember what your list was?
Oh, it was like typical things like, he has to be a return missionary, number one.
Number one.
Number two, like have a good sense of humor and like be really kind. Just like have a strong testimony in Jesus Christ.
Yeah, strong testimony. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so
Did you write a letter to your future husband?
Is it in a time capsule buried?
We did do a time capsule one time. It's like buried in front of the church. But we didn't put letters to our future husband in it. So
That's definitely been done, though. I've seen.
yeah, I'm sure.
It's a chore list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You dig it
So-
up and then you have to do the chores that you
Yeah. All my friends were Mormon. Like it was just normal. I usually had like a pretty good time at church. My friends were there. We all went to school together.
You're encouraged to stick with
Yeah.
your church group.
Yeah.
Don't venture too far.
And if you
Right.
could pull somebody into that, great.
Yeah.
But
Props for
don't
you.
be spending time outside of that when you have your believers
Yeah.
right there with you to help strengthen your testimony.
Right.
And testimony is just like your faith and
Yeah.
Your conviction.
your
that-
conviction.
Being able to say like, I believe that this is true.
Okay.
Which most of the time, young children. So I think we've talked about this before, that instead of a normal sacrament meeting where there's a couple of talks given by members, a lesson, everyone's encouraged to go up to the microphone and bear your testimony to the congregation. I believe this is true. This is why. And it's a rote. The beginning of it is a rote testimony. Go ahead.
I'd like to bear my testimony that I know this church is true, that Joseph Smith was a prophet, that the Book of Mormon is true, and that I can be with my family forever and return to live with God again. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ.
And that's like the beginning. And then you might give a personal story or experience which strengthened your testimony. And if you cry, bonus points.
Yes.
Whoa.
Like heartstrings.
the spirit moves.
Heartstrings.
Yeah. And people love it when kids bear their testimony. They go up with their
Yeah.
parents.
So I've seen it way too many times that a young child who has no idea what really is going on
Wants to make mom and dad happy though.
will
Right.
go up. Exactly. And I was pushed so many times, go bear your testimony. I'm like, I
bear
don't
it.
want to.
go bear it or see what happens to you.
I want to know it.
teach you to believe.
I got bribed with McDonald's.
Whoa. Okay.
Not even kidding. Like, I just like vividly remember.
Holy shit.
Mom was like, if you go up and do the primary program, we will go to McDonald's.
Primary kids will go up and sing a song. They pushed me to do that too.
Yeah.
And I was probably bribed to do that a couple times.
Sure.
Do you sing all by yourself, or you just like go
No,
up
it's
in a
like the
group?
collection of kids.
Okay,
People love it.
well, that's fair.
So there'll be a short microphone for a child to go up there. And if they aren't old enough or confident enough to do it by themselves, their parent will go up there and whisper that shit right in their ear so they could parrot it to the congregation as if they know that this church is true and that Joseph Smith was a prophet when they're 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't. I mean, you're not going to pull this off on an adult. So
Exactly.
you need to get it.
You got to do it early.
The kids. That's true. That's a lot of the basis of religion, I think, in general, not just the church.
It's true.
I certainly would not have gone to Catholic
Of course not.
church
What kid
if I wasn't forced to do it. You know.
really just...
The robes are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Buildings
the
are awesome.
pageantry.
I'd go there just to see the buildings.
Well, some of the
I mean,
buildings,
I'd go
though, but
sit
not,
in.
it's not like every church is St.
I was much
St.
more...
Peter's Basilica.
No.
You know.
I was much more impressed with Catholic churches than Mormon churches are
Totally bare bones.
bland. So were you always faithful?
Yeah. I mean, I remember as a kid, like, thinking I was feeling the spirit in primary.
Yeah.
Like, we would sing songs about Jesus, and like, I've always loved music. I always liked to sing. So, I mean, it was fun to go and sing songs that I knew and liked, and we played games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes it was boring and I fell asleep a lot in church, but I don't know. Our family was always super prominent. Our uncle was the bishop from the time I was 8 to the time I was 18. My grandma was the chorister. My mom was my Sunday school teacher. My aunt was the librarian. You know, like,
Yeah.
we're just surrounded.
It's your family friend group is
Right.
all in.
It was my whole life. And then I went to seminary like Daniel did when I
So that's like-
turned 14.
Mostly, in most school districts, it's a class before high school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go early
Mhm.
to learn about church shit before I went to high school. So this is my Book of Mormon from that time period with my
No.
name engraved on it, with all these
Lovely highlights.
Wow.
highlights
Notes.
of scriptures. And you see how these are highlighted on the edge?
Yeah.
This is this is for something called scripture chase. Mm-hmm. So the teacher
It's
will
freeze tag with Christ.
pretty much she'll give out. Will she just give out the like Alma 37,
right. She
35?
would just give the scripture reference
And then you're supposed to
and then chase.
chase to it.
And whoever opens it the fastest wins.
So I guess you want to know where in this book that is.
Yeah, so that you're familiar enough with it that you know in your mind what order the books go in.
So cool.
So cool. Wow. Yeah.
Can you imagine if instead of that class, you would, before high school,
gosh.
taken like a personal finance class, or
Oh,
this,
man.
Is how you do your taxes,
That
or
would have been way better for
here's
my
how-
life.
Way more beneficial.
home electrical repair, like the difference in your life.
Pretty much anything else.
Like you're already getting up and devoting yourself to something.
Or
Yeah.
just an extra hour of sleep at
Yeah.
that
Like it
age.
too. Yeah.
Yep.
Give me a break.
Let your
For real.
brain develop. You know,
You know,
That'd be good.
all that.
finish developing.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
You have to memorize scriptures. Like, I still have some of them memorized. They like have you memorize them with songs. In primary, you're supposed to memorize the articles of faith. I had to learn all of them, but my mom would incentivize me by having a horseback riding lesson every time I learned one. So I learned
A lot
them
of
real
bribery,
quick.
right? This
Yeah.
is just- yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Personal family bribery. How much do you have this memorized still?
probably like 75%. I mean, there are songs. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
could sing them when I was a kid. They're terrible melodies, but
We believe in the literal gathering of
of Israel and in the restoration of the 10 tribes. We also
That Zion,
that Zion,
the New
the New
Jerusalem,
Jerusalem will be renewed.
that will be built upon the American continent.
In Utah, yeah.
No,
I've been there.
Adamondiaman,
in Missouri.
Missouri.
Oops.
I've been there.
Yeah.
That Christ will reign
Personally upon the earth, and that the earth will be renewed and received its paradisiacal glory.
So it will essentially receive a resurrection.
Right. That the earth has been baptized by the flood, and then it will be cleansed by fire, the gift of the Holy Ghost. And then
we will
it
burn
will
with
be
it.
the celestial kingdom. Like, we will live here forever.
The earth is the celestial kingdom?
Yeah, like the earth has
heaven on
a
earth.
spirit and it's been baptized and then it'll be like cleansed. And then this earth will be the celestial kingdom. It will be heaven.
So we're coming back to life
Here.
on earth.
Yeah.
I thought the earth was the terrestrial kingdom.
Right now it represents the terrestrial kingdom. That's the phase we're in. That we're fallen. We're in a fallen state. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait,
The earth literally
Clearly,
fell
yeah.
they believe that the earth literally fell from its place
in
in
heaven.
heaven.
Well,
to-
more like speculation, but
That explains
speculative
the
theory.
stars.
So
Yeah.
so just as Adam fell, so did the earth.
yeah.
Oh, wait, did that happen when that happened?
Yeah. Like when Adam and Eve fell, like, yeah.
They like fell with the earth.
So the earth was relocated perfectly in orbit around the sun so that it could provide this life that we live
Yeah.
somehow.
That makes sense.
So it was around where God dwells near Kolob.
That's what one of my religion professors said. Yeah. But
Well,
I'm
I
not sure
believe
the
him.
law of Mormons are like, yeah, that's exactly.
I
he's a
had
bit-
never
it-
heard that.
Bit
Right.
of a liberal Mormon,
Yeah.
bit of a heretic.
I
A bad boy.
I understood it that the earth
Got some theories.
I got a couple
For you young men and
ideas
women.
of my own.
Yeah.
I thought that the earth fell from its state of
Right.
glory, not
Yeah.
literally.
That's definitely
relocated.
the doctrine, but some people think
Okay.
it literally fell.
Well, there is a lot of room for interpretation.
Yeah.
Let's keep talking about
Yeah.
you, and then we'll go
Get
back
the
to
timeline.
Mormonism.
Right. So speed ahead a little bit. I went through seminary, kept going to church, finished up high school. My mom and I went on a church history tour. Like I visited the Sacred Grove where Joseph Smith had the first vision.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How was that?
You know, it was woods.
Bunch of trees.
There were, you know, mosquitoes and
Did you feel more Holy Ghost there? Did you feel more?
nope. No.
Really?
Mostly just swatting mosquitoes away. And then like
mosquitoes
trying to get out of there,
Testament.
kind of got lost. I think I wanted to like pray
bit
like
him
Joseph
earlier.
Smith did. That's what a lot of people do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so it's like
Yeah,
a
like-
theme park.
Yeah.
Oh, the Mormons love their historical sites, and they are kind of like theme parks.
Yeah. Like sing Joseph Smith's first prayer, which is a hymn. Yeah. Just try to have like a holy moment. Yeah. So we went and did that. And because I had just studied the Doctrine and Covenants in seminary that year. So we went on that little adventure. Then
How old were you doing that?
I was 17.
Okay.
Yeah. It was the year before my senior year of high school. And then I went to college to BYU-Idaho. Of course, I wanted to go to Southern Oregon University.
So-
and then everybody was like, no, like
So I
you'll become
remember
a
when
heathen.
she was going to go to the art school,
Yep.
and I was like,
To do
yeah,
theater.
you should definitely do that.
Yeah.
She's a brilliant artist, and she was a great actor too. So I wanted her to pursue that,
Yeah.
develop that.
Right. Yeah. I
What-
was
and what
like
changed-
set on going. Like I was accepted to their theater program. I just wanted to go to Ashland and hang out. And then all my friends, so what really happened is my young women president like knocked on the door one Sunday morning, brought me into her van and was like, so I hear that you're not going to BYU.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part.
Let's talk about the van.
Yeah, what kind of van?
What kind of van are we talking
I'm
about?
like in my pajamas.
Did it have seats?
Yeah, she's like in the driver's seat and I'm in the passenger seat. And I loved her. Like I looked up to her so much. She was the
I'm
young
sure.
women's president.
How old is she?
She's like in her 30s at the time. She has like 8 kids. Like she went to BYU-Idaho.
Octomom.
Yeah. She's seriously like super mom, like what you should be as a Mormon mother. Mormon woman.
Productive.
Yeah. Very.
Prolific.
Yeah.
Very productive. And, you know, she kind of convinced me first monetarily, like BYU-Idaho is super subsidized through tithing money. Each semester only cost me like, what, $2,000?
That's pretty cheap.
Like you could get paid to go to school if you go to BYU-Idaho, which is, you know, enticing. But she was also like, I would not trade that experience for anything. And if you go to, you know, Southern Oregon University, you just like, you could go down so many different paths
Who
and you
knows?
might fall away. So yeah,
Did that scare you?
A little. Like I just wanted to like make people happy.
She's not wrong.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
wrong.
that is definitely what would have happened.
It would have.
He would have found out about
especially in
Shakespeare.
Ashland.
Yeah.
Especially in Ashland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so hippie, you know? So I went inside.
You might have had like cocktails in the afternoon. I mean,
Good Lord.
Wow.
Heaven forbid.
Yeah, what is wrong with you?
wow.
the
Wait,
devil.
what are you
what
even
did
doing?
you study at BYU?
I studied, well, my major was first theater
Okay.
with an art minor. And then when I got home from my mission, it switched to psychology with an art, they call it a cluster. So I went inside after we had this conversation. Yeah.
Why? Why do they call it a cluster?
Because it's not like enough credits to be a full
Okay.
minor.
They
It's
do
weird.
the same thing in Portland State.
Do they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm taking a cluster.
Yeah.
It's just a cluster of similar.
Yeah, it's not weird.
classes.
Oh.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. I went inside.
Get
and
over it.
All right.
We're moving on.
I'm over
It's an
it.
American thing, okay? It's not a Mormon thing.
I'm so used to all these like non-real words.
You just like
being
not
used to-
used. Yeah. You're just used to not.
Right, yeah. You
It
go
not
to
being
Mormon
real.
school, you get clusters.
Yeah.
You clusters.
It's like a candy
the
bar.
bomb. Yeah.
Or a bomb.
Well, the Book of Mormon is called BOMB for short.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
I've always seen it written like that,
Right.
BOM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah.
You
Pretty
think you
dumb.
would have done something with the O, change it just a little bit, like boom,
Yeah. You think.
bong.
Boom. Testimony.
Boom, testimony. Seriously, I go inside, I open up the Book of Mormon to like where I was reading, and it happened to be a chapter in Moroni. And she had like told me to read the Book of Mormon and pray. So that's what I went to do. And it was talking about how like a good tree cannot bring forth bitter fruit, and like a
That's
bad
false.
tree can't bring forth good fruit, and like a good fountain can't bring forth bitter water. Like good things bring forth good things is basically. So like I interpreted it as if I go to Southern Oregon University, I will like become bad fruit. Like I'll be ruined. And if I go to BYU-Idaho, then like I'll be set. Like I'll be good. And so I
good
convinced myself that I
tree.
felt the spirit. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I have to go.
What that
To
means
BYU-Idaho.
is if you're surrounded by people who believe, then you will continue to believe, most likely.
Yes. And so she picked me up after church that day. She was like, oh my God, you're glowing. Like what happened? What
the Holy
changed?
Spirit.
And I was
Get
like,
the
oh my
fuck
God,
outta
like, I
here,
got this
man.
answer that I should like go to BYU-Idaho. And she was like, I'm so great. She had like written me this letter and was like, I just can't support you if you go to this other school. And like, I I love you so much. And
I
this is what
can't
I want for
support
you.
you.
Little outcasting.
I do have unyielding love for you, but if you go
It's
to a
conditional.
different school,
Yeah.
Can't support
it's
that.
God.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It evaporates like your eternal soul.
It falls away.
Yeah. Yeah. And for a long time, I was like so thankful to her. Like I accredited so much credit to her for helping me,
Yeah.
for seeing the light, you know. And my mom and dad were just like, oh, thank God, you know.
And I was like, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
But
Because it changed on
Okay.
a dime.
it did.
Yeah.
It really did. She was set. Like, yeah, I don't want to go to BYU-Idaho. I want to go do art.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, awesome. But I also did have the inclination like, well, if you do that, you probably won't continue to believe like you do now.
Yeah.
There's at least a much higher possibility that you at least won't be as interested in it,
Right.
which, was fine with me. But
Were you in shows at BYU?
I did one.
What show?
Oh, it was like this ridiculous children's musical that the director had written himself and like starred in. And I was just a chorus member, I just like did some dancing.
in high school, she was,
We did like 10 productions because my school's super small.
and lead actor of several things. She played Anne Frank, which was
That was
awesome.
really fun. Yeah. I really liked acting.
I'm wondering what like the season looks like at BYU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I watched a lot of plays at BYU and it wasn't bad. It was just like, Mormon kids not wanting to do anything too risky. And
Yeah, I can't imagine.
yeah.
There's no like
Not taking the Lord's name in vain and not
fresh from
cussing.
Broadway.
Yeah.
It's like Romeo and Juliet, but everything works out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, she wakes up. He's like, "Oh my, you have no idea what I'm supposed to do." Wow.
I totally misread that.
Yeah.
So what makes you decide to go on a mission?
So so the age change happened. Women were allowed to go at 21 and then they were allowed to go at 19 and men were then able to go at 18 instead of 19.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh great. Like that's so exciting for everyone else. Like I don't want to go on a
Good for
mission.
you guys.
Woo. Like as a kid, I was like, I don't want to do that. But they make you sing songs about going on a mission. Like,
Even as a kid, you didn't want to go?
yeah, even as a kid, I was like, oh, thank God. That's
Why?
only the boys that have to do that.
Oh.
The boys that have to do it,
Right.
and girls can do it if they
If they
want
choose.
to.
Oh,
If they
okay.
don't
Pretty
get
much.
married
If they don't get
first.
married
Yeah.
and they're not bearing fruit, then
Right.
you might as well go.
Yeah,
preach the
send them to
gospel.
the jungle.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's get some use out of you.
Yeah.
Surround them by fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was told that I wouldn't last 2 semesters at BYU-Idaho without getting married. And I was like, it is my goal to graduate without being married. Everybody was going on missions.
Get married.
Everybody's jumping on this bandwagon. My best friends were going on missions. And I was like,
Were people having kids while they were in school too? Or was
a lot of people do.
Okay.
Yeah. You're encouraged to like have kids
Jeez.
as soon as you get married. Like get home from your mission, get married, have kids as soon as possible.
And go to school.
And go to school.
Yeah. People who are barely educated in the world make more people and just see how that goes.
Yeah.
There's no way that doesn't negatively affect the women in their college career.
No way.
Most women don't finish.
No. And they're encouraged.
You're locked in.
That's not what
your mom now.
That's not what you
Maybe
should
not
be doing.
Most.
Education
but a
is
lot.
not important for you. Bearing children and raising a family is what you're here to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And then hopefully you won't question as much.
Because you're so far in.
Yeah. Well, you're exhausted. You have 9 kids.
Yeah, you're sleep deprived.
And
so.
finals.
And finals.
Exactly.
I had to take a religion class every semester.
Makes sense.
I took like 2 Book of Mormon classes, Doctrine and Covenants, Old Testament, New Testament, Writings of Isaiah.
You don't get to like choose the religion you want to study.
Shintoism.
Yeah, they did have world religions. I didn't take that class.
It's a quick classic. Not important.
Man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not true. You'll get that true.
This is just to show you
You'll
how
get an
true
A.
Mormonism
Check out the
is.
weird things other religions believe.
Crazy people. I had a friend that served in Guatemala, and she was my roommate my very first semester of college.
Oh, I bet she was very faithful.
And she was the Relief Society president. I was talking to her, and she just like made it sound fun. Like for the first time, I was like, "Oh, that might be fun," and that had never
It's
occurred
like a
to
semester
me.
abroad.
Yeah, like I could go
spin
to
it
a
that
foreign
way.
country.
You could spin it that way, but not when you're out there.
No, God, no. So I like went to general conference with her, like in Utah. Felt like I was on this faith trajectory, and then I prayed one night and just like felt like I was supposed to go on a mission. So I submitted my application, and then my call came. I opened it by myself. Guess where I went? I'll give you a hint. It was in the continental United States.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Nope.
That'd be cooler.
2 more
Oregon?
guesses. No. I was worried. I was like, what if I get called to Portland, Oregon? I went to Jacksonville, Florida on
What
my
the
mission.
fuck?
All places.
Wow.
Like as far away as I could get from home and still stay in the
Yeah.
continental United States.
Okay.
Jacksonville.
Yeah, you got
But be in a very different place
Very
than the
different
United
place.
States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I served
They
there.
do need saving down there.
They sure do.
They sure
Yeah.
do.
The Jaguars
They sure
aren't. They're not helping anybody.
Nope.
I served there from 2014 to 2015,
Yeah.
18 months, year and a half.
They just put you up.
Oh, no.
Like,
You pay for your mission.
Oh yeah, I saved I used the rest of my savings account. It was like $3,000, and then the church like subsidizes the rest. There's like a general missionary
Whatever
fund,
they have to. But you and your family are encouraged to pay for as much of it as
as
you can.
much as you can.
Isn't that fucking dumb?
Yeah.
So you sacrifice all that time of your young life and you have to pay for
And
it?
you're trying to get some souls for the church too. Like you're at work, right?
Yeah, like you're volunteering,
day.
a full-time volunteer for the
I can't
church.
wait to talk. Yeah,
Why
that's-
don't they? They should.
Exactly.
You're working for them.
You are an employee
You're a
of
slave.
the church.
But
But you're a volunteer.
yeah.
Yeah, I knocked on like every door in Gainesville. I spent 6 months in Gainesville.
How did you not just get shot?
I seriously don't know how I'm still alive. Like my mission was not nearly as dangerous as someone that goes to like Mexico City or whatever. Or missionaries
Russia.
get kidnapped and, threatened all the time. Yeah, some pretty creepy experiences. 2 19-year-old girls, they don't know what the fuck they're doing
in the marsh.
in the
Yeah.
seriously.
Gators down
Swamp.
there, man.
Yeah, like going into areas that are like usually the police don't even go in without backup, but we think we're safe
Oh my
because
gosh.
like we're emissaries of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Right. You wouldn't be there if
We
JC didn't want you there.
Yeah, the
Right.
woman of the
Right.
Lord.
Yeah, we were safe.
Come what may.
yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to excuse Martin Wallace.
He has
Yes,
prayers.
I have
He has to get on his damn knees for sure.
God.
Save your soul. So I was set apart. While I got my patriarchal blessing, I went through the temple, got endowed.
So she has been
From on
through
high.
that experience and I have not.
Right. That is something that's different.
Okay.
Got the garments. You kind of
Magic
you have
underwear.
to do that before you go on a mission. The magic underwear. Yeah, you got to be protected.
You could get stabbed.
You could
Shot.
Shot.
Good thing this linen garble.
His
Yeah,
linen.
it would just like bend, or it would like miss a vital organ or something.
yeah,
You'd be fine.
it'd be fine. That's spandex or cotton,
Wow.
whichever you prefer. Yeah. So I
Wait, spandex was an option?
Yeah. Yep. There's different fabrics.
All right.
You can have your choice. Whatever's most comfortable for you.
Okay.
It's a very personal choice.
That there's a porn category of magic underwear.
There is.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say.
There
Has
is.
to be.
It has to be.
Yep.
Did you get any converts? Anyone?
I had technically 2.
Well done. Kudos.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't all
So
me.
you saw them
but
baptized.
I did see them baptized. One I taught almost all the way. One I was like at the tail end.
Out of how many contacts? Million?
100,000.
Felt like it. I
How
honestly
how
don't
many
know
a day would you average? You would
that I just talked to?
Yeah, about specifically the church
At least 30.
a day.
Yeah.
For 18 months.
210.
Yeah.
210. I mean, that's
It's a lot of
a
people.
lot of people.
It's a lot of people. So from the MTC, I had a companion. You're supposed to study. Yeah, you're supposed to study, practice teaching, get in sync so that you can like be a good team.
Good cop, bad cop.
Right.
Right.
Teach and testify. Yeah, I had to learn how to teach the lessons in the MTC. All of the teachers in the MTC are returned missionaries,
Mm-hmm.
and they just like love their mission so much
Like
they
the SEAL
have to
team,
like
you
keep
know?
talking about it. Yeah.
Let's train those Marines.
Get them going. And of course, they're like the ones that have all of these like really inspirational stories and like saw so many miracles. And they're like, you're just going to love it. So you get out the door and you are supposed to talk to every person that you see. Like if you don't, you should feel really shameful.
It's
about
like
that.
it's like no consideration of human nature
No.
has gone into this
No.
on the missionary side or the general public's.
Yeah.
No. They're trying to change that. Since I've come home, they've tried to be like, okay, maybe like don't immediately start talking about God when you talk to people. Maybe just try to help people first. Maybe like actually treat them like a
Part of
person.
a mission is being of service.
Right.
And of course, generally within the ward boundaries that you're in, right?
But yeah, mostly it was like helping members
Move.
weed their lawn or move or
A lot of help
whatever.
moving.
The free
a lot
labor.
of help moving. Yeah, a lot of free labor.
That's pretty
Cool.
good.
Yeah.
How many times a day were you told to get the fuck away from me?
Like at least half of the people. Yeah. One woman just like laid into us and was like, you have no right to be here. You should just leave. No one
Wow.
wants you here. Just like go away.
No one wants you here.
Basically. Yeah.
Not wrong.
Not wrong, but ouch.
Even doors that had signs like no
And-
solicitors, we would still knock on the fucking door. I'm
They're
just like,
throwing them to the wolves.
yeah,
Yeah.
Of course they're going to get that most of the time.
of course.
I can't imagine. I can't believe it wasn't like 99% of the time.
You practice a lot your like approach, your door, that's what they call them, door approaches. I literally had a bishop that was like a businessman and he taught us how to set return appointments with
Oh,
people,
boy.
like
Yeah.
sales pitches. Okay, so like when would it work for us to come back? And like how to be specific, like does the weekend or the weekday work better for you? Okay, so like Monday, Tuesday or like Wednesday, Thursday, like narrow
the
it
choice
down.
without a difference.
In the morning or the
Let me know.
afternoon.
Is
When
1
I
o'clock
will
on
see you
Tuesday or
again.
3:30 on Wednesday better for you?
Right.
Yeah.
So they have to make a choice, but
Yeah.
either way, they're agreeing to meet with you.
And they usually weren't there when we went back.
yeah.
Or they just didn't answer. And I was naive enough. I never really felt unsafe. You know, people were generally pretty nice. Like they offered us water and it wasn't
Who's at the door? A couple sweaty girls on bikes saying, give him some water.
Especially in this day and age. How many houses have like security cameras?
You know?
They're
Oh, yeah.
super cheap now.
So many.
They know exactly who's
Right.
outside.
We've
They're
got our
not,
name tags on.
The ring
they're
doorbell.
not
and-
opening the door.
No. One woman opened the door. She was super old and she was like crying her eyes out. We were just like, can we sing you a hymn?
Wow.
That was our offer.
She was crying because you were there or because
Who knows?
Oh no.
I-
no.
I have no idea. All right.
oh, no, I
She was
thought
just
you were the
sad.
angel of death to take me. It's just a couple girls. Oh, just take me.
Oh man.
Just waiting. Yeah. So
I don't want
much
to be
time.
here anymore.
Ugh. Poor woman.
Was there ever a moment, at least a moment, where you thought, why did I do this? Or I wish I could leave?
Yeah,
After
for
like
sure.
the third prayer of the day,
Right?
every day.
Yeah. No, there were definitely long stretches of time where I was like, all I have to do right now is like get ready for the day.
Just
I
get through the day.
I just had to get through the day. Depending on the companion, some were a lot easier than others. I was never with one for more than 12 weeks.
Yeah, you're not with a companion the whole time.
Right. It's not just one. You every 6 weeks was a new transfer. And you could stay in your area or you could get moved to
so
a new
eventually
one.
you're the vet.
Yeah.
The veteran.
Eventually you're the older one. I did train a missionary, like a brand new girl, like fresh from the MTC. And then I became a sister training leader, which is like you're over that area's sister missionaries, like going on trade-offs with them. Like you trade companions for the day and like teach them how to be a better missionary, like more obedient, more diligent, talk to more people. We had like a whole list of everyone that was supposed to be in the congregation. And we tried to find and track down the ones that weren't going to church.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When I was old enough that
Seriously.
I should have been. So in every area, there's a singles ward. So if you're not married, you're supposed to go to the singles ward. So hopefully you meet somebody else and get married.
And go to a family ward.
So when I was old enough that I should have been going to the singles ward and I wasn't, they came after me.
Tracking
We
them
want
down.
you to come to the singles ward.
Come to the
How old were you?
activities.
Come to the activities, yeah.
We're going rafting.
After 18. And I'm not married.
Yeah.
And I'm not a missionary. And I
Prime
say,
target right there.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Never went.
It's terrible.
It has to be.
It's.
It has to be so.
I went to a
it's so
singles ward
embarrassing.
the entire time I was in university. Like that was the only option.
It must be embarrassing.
It's terrible.
Well, I don't know if embarrassing, but just like
And then all these
uncomfortable. Like,
other people that success stories, they met and they got married.
Right.
They're getting picked off and then you're still there.
You're 18. Yeah. Is happening?
Or anything.
18
The
to
older you get,
31. I think 31's the
the
cutoff.
older
They just
you
give up
get-
at that point.
and you're not
They kick you out.
getting chosen. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yoy.
8 to 9 is prime proselyting time. People are home from work. They're finished having dinner. They're home. They should let you in so you can teach them.
Like again, this takes zero actual human nature
Yeah.
into account.
Who wants to sit
Your
down?
humanity is stripped.
But if you knocked on my door at 8:00
No.
at night,
Like the sun is going
yeah,
down.
I'm done having dinner.
Yeah. Like it's
The kids are
time to go to bed.
maybe in bed. Yeah, and I'm not a special case,
Right. No.
and I'm also not the most
Right.
insane person that you might knock on their door.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
like I feel pretty in the middle, and
Yeah.
I would be like,
Guys,
What's the latest that you could be knocking on doors?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock? Unacceptable.
We had to be in the door at 9 o'clock, like back at home.
But you could be knocking on
Up
doors
until that
up until
moment.
then?
But you should be like getting back home like 8:50, depending on how far away you are.
seriously, if someone knocked on my door or rang the bell at 9 and woke
Yeah.
the two kids up,
Especially if it's
I would lose
nighttime.
my mind.
Yeah, and you are encouraged to take every second of opportunity.
You
Like,
better be on
do not
fire
go
or
home and
Like
do
if you're
it.
walking home and you feel the spirit
Yeah.
and you want to knock on that door
Right.
and it's 8:30.
Yeah,
You better
8:49.
you better be like in a medical emergency. Like please call 911 because you know the last house I knocked on the door they shot me. I need help. Like that's the only way I wouldn't shoot you myself. You know, if you're not on fire or bleeding, like
Yeah.
go
you're
away.
about to be.
You're-
Like,
You need to go home.
you need
Yeah.
to go home.
Get
That's
out.
like it just take like you. Like,
Yeah.
how dare you
Yeah.
invade
That-
anyone's privacy
I know.
like that?
I know.
I'm glad that you weren't
Me
murdered.
too. Like
There
were some like just sketchy experiences.
Did you ever walk up to
It's
a house and then
Florida.
turn around? You know what I mean? Like get
Yes.
a bad vibe.
There were a
no.
couple of times that my companion was like, "We need to turn around.
We're gonna get
like
in trouble here.
It just doesn't.
You don't feel the
The
Spirit.
spirit tells me that we're about
Yes.
to be a headline.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time in trailer parks.
Yeah.
A lot. One guy opened the door like completely naked. A lot of people
Oh.
like had like really obviously like mental health issues and were like trying to teach bipolar people. Oh my God. Guys, like I didn't even know what marijuana
You
smelled
guys-
like. Now that I know what it smells like
It was everywhere.
half of the people that we were trying to teach were completely stoned. And we had no idea because we had no experience
Yeah.
Exactly.
to even identify what that smell was. I'd be like, why does it smell like skunk
Yeah.
Yeah.
everywhere?
Guys,
There could have been a few
all right,
skunks.
you want to talk? You want to talk about the nature of existence?
Yeah,
Come on
sure.
in. Me too.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
Super bizarre experiences. One guy was like, I am the devil. Like, I have a forked tongue and I have a third eye.
Whoa.
We were standing there. It was like my second to last companion and it was my last area in St. Mary's, Georgia, Navy Town. We were standing in front of this guy after we had walked back from a house, and he just like stopped us and just like kept talking. I'm pretty sure he was on drugs. And I just like stood there feeling like, if we don't leave, we're going to die. And I don't know how to just walk away from this guy because I'm so afraid that he's going to attack us. But he like wouldn't let us go. And he was just really freaking us out. And my
do you
companion
have cell phones?
was great.
while you were-
We did have cell phones. Yeah. Like pretty old school. Just like slider phones.
Just one button to heaven. I'm coming. I'm on my way. I'm about to be murdered by this person. Yeah.
See you soon.
See you in a minute.
I was like praying while I was standing there. I was like, God, please help us. Like, please send him away. Like, I don't know how to get out of this situation.
So when you were in the mission field, did you come upon the arguments that you've heard since then?
A few, like I heard about the multiple versions of the first vision from a member. Not a lot else, actually. A lot of people were like really weirded out by garments.
Oh yeah, that is one of the weirdest
Yeah.
things.
It's weird.
Yeah, but no, we were completely engrossed in the basic fundamental doctrines of the church, because that's all you're supposed to teach.
Yeah.
I lived, ate, and breathed the Book of Mormon. I read it about 3 or 4 times on my mission, but I've read it like 12 times total. So yeah, I could teach the first discussion in like 1 minute if I needed to.
Do you feel like reading it 12 times made you more of a believer, or did it enter more doubt?
I read it one more time this last year just to be like, okay, last shot. And it's just garbage. Like,
Yeah, we've talked about it as being like religious fan fiction.
yeah, I just saw it for what it was.
Yeah. From the outside, and I've said it before, listening, like all the names of things, it is like two people who grew up believing that they were Jedis from Star Wars.
That's perfect.
It's
Yeah.
like you're,
Yes.
it's like
Yeah.
That
all
far
this stuff-
removed
it's
from
like
reality.
the Force.
you're
is
telling me
the
about the
spirit.
Force.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I'm going, no, that's a movie.
Right.
No, it's
Yeah.
George Lucas prophesied he had a cedar stone and he wrote this movie, you know? And
Yeah. Pretty much.
that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a very good analogy.
So you wanted to summarize the rest of the rules that we
Yeah,
didn't
I didn't.
talk about. What you cannot do
Which you cannot do.
ever.
You have to remain within sight and sound of your companion. No first names. Elders and sisters can't ride in the same vehicle. Can't live in the same apartment complex. No holding babies. No swimming or water sports. No dancing. No TV, radio, unapproved music, books, or movies. No extreme hairstyles.
Extreme hairstyles.
No dyes. No short hair. No large earrings or flashy jewelry. No calling your family, except for now. They can.
Now they can once a week.
Once a week. They have that option. Or you can just email. I emailed once a week. On Christmas and Mother's Day, you can call your family. That was the only time I talked to him for 18 months.
Yep.
You're not allowed to leave the area. Like, you have an area that you are assigned to. You're not allowed to leave those boundaries. If you do,
And
you
they're
need
called boundaries,
permission.
the boundaries of the mission.
Yes. You have the boundary of your area, your district, and then the mission itself. You need permission to leave all of those.
Wow.
Those are the major ones.
So you come home. Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel like,
Yeah, I felt like at the time that I had like done my job really well.
yeah,
That I had like made God proud, made my family proud.
Yeah.
That I could like return with honor, as they say.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm getting lost in the timeline. So you're still in BYU now, or you've graduated?
I had
you like left for the mission?
I had gone to 3 semesters of school and then I had left. And then came back, was home for a few months, and then went back to school.
Okay.
I was afraid to come home. Like, it was a really big transition. It was my whole life, like serving my mission. I came home and I couldn't stop going through the schedule. I would get up and I would pray, and I would exercise, and I would do like I would have scripture study, and I would still wear dresses. Like, I couldn't stop for a while. I was like ingrained.
Yeah.
I was so weird. Like, I would like want to pray with people and like talk to strangers. I like went down to my neighbor. It was Christmas time. because I had gotten home in like late November.
Yeah.
It was Christmas time and I gave her a Book of Mormon. I was just a mess.
That's my nightmare. Like you were my nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like talking to all my old friends, reaching out to people that I haven't talked to since like middle school, like on Facebook. Like I needed to be restrained. Like I was like so like I was so used to like worrying about people's salvation and their souls that like I felt like it was my responsibility to save everybody I'd ever known.
Wow.
Do you remember how weird I was? Like, do you remember thinking that?
I didn't live with you, so no, I didn't see that all the time.
Oh God, yeah. Like I went out with the sister missionaries to like keep teaching people. Yeah. It took me a while to like undo that.
I think it's like PTSD.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Probably.
Like,
Yeah.
or some
Some form of
affiliate,
it.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I still like, I can't be around the same person for too long because it reminds me of having a companion and like not being able to leave.
That's not good.
No, it's really not. They say that having a companion like that prepares you for marriage. And I'm just like, I never want to get married.
Yeah. That's
The opposite happened.
Wow.
Ugh.
So you go back to school
Mhm.
and you go for you graduated.
I did. I went for 9 semesters.
So the whole time you're still
I'm still
fully believing.
pretty fully believing. I had a lot of callings. I was in the Relief Society presidency. Like there's 3 women that are in charge of like the group of girls. My my roommate was the Relief Society president. She became like my best friend. All of my friends were like so Mormon.
mm-hmm.
Went to the temple every week for at least 2 hours. Like I would walk uphill to the temple in the snow. Oh my God, the first semester I was back, I was like, if I am perfectly obedient, I will get straight A's. And I did. I did get straight A's. That's the only semester I did, actually. But you know why? Because I told God, I won't go home until I'm done with my homework. Which
So you went like to the library every day and like,
right.
just
Yeah,
continued
So
working.
obviously.
Yeah. You
You did the work,
could
Yeah.
have told yourself,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go home until I do my homework.
which is what you did.
Same thing.
Which is, you know, why that worked.
Yeah.
So like
You had a mirror and said, I promise you, I won't go home until I do my homework. And lo and behold, God,
Straight A's.
doing my homework, got me straight A's. Yeah.
yeah, like I lived the missionary schedule. I went to the temple in the morning.
That's got to help you with schoolwork.
Yeah, I did my exercise. I woke up super early, went to my classes, did my homework all day, went home at 9:30.
Yeah. There are people on Instagram making a living showing this kind of discipline.
Yeah.
You know, it's 4:30 in the morning.
Go,
Lifting
go.
weights.
Smash the day.
Smash the day.
Yeah.
It works.
Yep. Went to church every Sunday, just like really hit my scripture study hard. This is ridiculous.
So at what point did I start talking to you about what I had been learning and that what I doubted you knew?
She sent you the 3rd copy of the Book of Mormon for your birthday. Yeah.
And all the while that she's been a missionary, that she's been fully faithful, we were still,
Well, you couldn't even talk. So
no, we were
Right.
very close.
Yeah.
And there was no contention between us about
No.
me not being involved.
Yeah.
Although at the time I was still just apathetic.
Right.
I didn't care, didn't talk about it,
Right.
didn't know about it really, supported her in
Yeah.
her mission and her activity. But once I started this journey of
Well, and
learning for
some of
myself,
the other things we looked into on the fundamentals, I think
Yeah.
that was where you started looking into.
Right. Yeah.
Your
Talking
own-
about different religions.
that's where it got, like, if we do an episode on this,
Mhm.
there's a lot I know that I don't
Yeah.
understand. So I'm going to have to do that research for myself. And so once I learned so much that I didn't know, and so much that's below the level of inquiry of believing Mormons, like, this is good enough right here. I
Here.
like everything. I know that there's stuff underneath that I hear about. People tell me that it's not true or it's just not worth looking into, so I won't. But I can't stop. So I go beneath that and find the foundation of this religion and the people who started it. And then I have questions for my sister
Because
who
obviously,
still
you know,
believes.
he's like, my sister's still doing this.
Yeah.
Concerned for me.
And really doing it. Not
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
you,
really
you,
doing
you
it.
kind of didn't care,
No.
but you also weren't like, oh, there's detrimental effects
Yeah.
here of you're throwing your life away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like 100% on that track.
So you were still in like at the tail end of school when I started?
I was at the tail. I can't decide if I had already graduated when we started talking about it, but it was
Maybe.
at the tail end of my time at school that I took a cultural psych class.
We were talking about it when you were still in school,
Yeah.
right?
I want to say that I had it was my last semester, I had already graduated. Because I took that class, was like opened up to like the world, that there are people different than me that have different religions who believe their religion just as intensely as I do. And if they're not right, what makes me think I am? So that was like the very beginning of like opening that door to like that relativistic view. And then I graduated, and we definitely started talking before I went to India.
Yeah.
Because we would talk about it while I was over there. And I stopped going to church, obviously. Like I wasn't going to church in India. I was there for like a month and a half. And it was the longest time that I hadn't been to church, the longest stretch of time. And I came home and I was like used to not going to church.
Where were you in India?
I was in Rajasthan, Jaipur.
Mm-hmm.
The initial reason I went there was to volunteer to teach English to like this just like small group of kids.
I've been to Jaipur, actually. It's funny.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good area. My professor was friends with this guy who started the project.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like free room and board. And then my friend and I went together. We were there for 3 weeks, and then we just like did some more traveling and then came back. And Daniel and I like really started to talk more. And I was still on the defensive side.
Yeah.
I would be defending. I would be giving him like my rebuttal to his concerns, a lot of which I hadn't heard of before.
One of the biggest ones I think was the Book of Abraham.
Yeah.
Being pieces of the papyrus still existing and within the hands of the church, and the church knowing that what is written on that papyrus does not translate to what's written as the Book of Abraham
Yeah.
at all. The church knows that. They can't defend that anymore. They can't say that it's literally translated from what's written here. Now they say it's inspired by what was written there, which has nothing to do with the Book of Abraham. She didn't know that those pieces still existed, or that was the truth about that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
But we also just got into
know
like
anything.
bigger discussions about what is this
Existential
Yeah.
conversations till like 4 a.m.
Oh yeah, sometimes.
We just could not stop talking about it. We were just obsessed.
Which I'm really grateful that we even had that door already open, because of between me and other family members, there is like a pretty narrow window of conversation.
Yeah.
Topics.
And with that, that's never really been the case.
Right.
We could talk about a lot while still being on opposite sides of the line.
Yeah.
But it
But then I slowly kept
getting closer.
getting closer and closer.
But I was never, and from the beginning, I was like, Lisa, this is what I know and this is what I believe.
Yeah.
And I know that you don't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
If you choose to still believe after you know all of this other stuff that is true, that's okay.
Yeah.
I still love you. I still support you. You know, we'll still have the same relationship.
He just wanted me to be
I just wanted you to
informed.
know what you don't know about
Yeah.
what you've put your whole life into.
Which, thank God, because no one else could have done that for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have listened to anyone else.
Yeah.
That's also a double-edged sword,
It
because
is.
the rest of my family's going to think
They blame him.
you did this.
You did.
You did. It's all
And
your
I
fault.
did. But I didn't.
But no.
Because she did her own
Well,
I was already sliding.
inquiry.
You didn't, because none of it's real. So
Obviously.
Joseph Smith did it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He really is the
I
problem.
did start the
Yeah.
conversation, but like I said, there was at the outset,
Yeah.
this is not me trying to deconvert you.
Right.
We're just talking, and
Yeah.
I do this because I care about
Right.
you. She did her own inquiry
Yes.
into these things and more.
And more. I mean, prior to those discussions, I was already struggling with feeling like I had to get married, and I didn't want to. I was dating like this Mormon boy that I had known for 5 years, and like our families wanted us to get married.
Everybody wanted them to get married.
Everybody was like
so bad.
set on that happening, and I was like, this is not what I want.
Yeah.
I'm bored. This is not working. So I broke up with him, and I stopped going to the temple, and I didn't even want to go to church because I just felt like, what is the point? And I was still in university at this point. And that was the question that started unraveling like my whole concept of faith is if the entire point of Mormonism is that God's greatest work, his work in his glory, is to bring to pass the immortality and eternal life of man. If the whole point of my existence is to return to live with God, why? Like, I just struggled with the point of it all.
Yep.
It's like, I don't want to live forever. Like, I don't like the idea of eternity. And that's like what Mormons bank on. It's just like, this life is just a stepping stone to this like greater next life that's coming. And I was like, I'm not interested. I'd
Families
rather
can be
just
together forever.
Stop it. I don't want to do that.
That's one of the main selling points.
Yeah.
So you and your family can live together forever. As long as you all are equally obedient
Right.
and keeping the covenants, you'll end up in the same tier of heaven to exist in eternity forever.
It just didn't make any sense to me.
How did that ever make sense?
I don't know.
You never thought about it.
Yeah. I just
That's just
was
what
like,
you're told from birth,
sure.
in our case.
Yeah. And then like as a god, you're supposed to like create your own worlds. And I was like, ooh,
It's a lot of
don't
responsibility.
want that, you know?
One of the points of conversation is like, okay, so Elohim, our heavenly father, was once a man who went through the same process that we are going through, became an exalted man, and created, I guess, this group
Universe.
of beings on earth. But if he's not,
It doesn't jive.
if he's been created by somebody else, so there's an infinite regression of
Theoretically.
gods, but we call him God the eternal father, as if he always has been.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Mormons believe that everybody is eternal. Like you weren't.
That our spirit is eternal.
Right.
But he was not always the eternal father if he
Yeah.
became,
He got like promoted
yeah.
to that.
And that's the idea that we can be
Right.
promoted
We
too.
can, yeah. As
And then
God is.
make our own
we can
worlds.
become.
Yep.
It's like the simulation theory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of ahead of his time. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, Earth is Earth because of where it is located in space. So where are all these other infinite worlds that
Worlds without
we're
number.
living on?
Yeah.
Where are the other Goldilocks planets out there where heavenly fathers can make spirit children and give them bodies on Earth to have
Yeah,
this
it's funny 'cause-
experience?
And
funny.
Jesus died for all of them.
So many,
obviously.
that's like the Fermi paradox. Like there's these problems.
If
in
they're out
physics,
there, why don't we know?
Yeah, these problems or questions of technology and the nature of the universe that science is trying to answer. Mormons already got the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's
And
funny.
if you don't, we'll figure it out later.
Exactly.
yeah.
I
If you
don't
don't understand
now.
it, you will understand everything in the next life.
But that's why
good
there's the next
blanket.
life.
Yeah.
Eternal progression.
When you try to translate the ethereal and the spiritual relative to this faith into the practical, and I know that if it is
Yeah, we're
a
talking
spiritual
about,
level, I mean, of course you don't understand how it works.
No.
But all of it that we can imagine is based on how this works. And if this world is organized based on what has come before and what we're returning to, then there has to be some compatibility of practicality that we can think of,
yeah, it should be like a second social security number more than a name.
basically.
You know,
If we're going to be brought forth and then restored to our perfect state of being,
Not a hair of your head shall be lost.
what does that fucking mean?
Apparently, we're going to have really long hair.
what if
Like-
you go bald?
What if you go bald, or you lose a limb, or you're born with
It just comes
deformities?
back.
Like,
Yeah, you just
what
get
is
back.
that based
It's
on?
magical.
You didn't have a body before.
Oh my God.
You're supposed to come here on this life to gain a body like our eternal Father had that we
Right.
wanted.
Yep.
So he gave us this opportunity to do that. But some of us are born with bodies that are not great, not perfect.
Not fully functioning.
So what is that restored, complete body in heaven based on if we never had a body to begin with? Do our eternal spirits look like this somehow?
That's what they say.
But then our parents would have had to been chosen in advance
Yep.
to make us look the way we do based on the way they look.
Which is not doctrine. Families weren't.
We weren't a family
No.
before.
It's not like we were like, yeah, team. Like,
Yeah. I
pick
choose you.
No, that's not how it worked. I mean,
But you're
people
all going to be
think
together in
it did.
heaven.
Yep.
Yeah. And which family are you going to be with? The family that you created or the family you were born into? You know, like.
Or is there split? I mean, you inhabit
Well,
both
if you
existences?
don't, I guess if you don't have the same level of commitment on earth, you'll be sent to a different tier of heaven.
Yeah.
And if you're down here, you can't go up there.
Oh my God.
So they have to come and visit you.
An elevator and
Yeah, pretty much.
escalator situation.
I just. Girls' camp is a thing. Like in the summer, you go away to girls' camp for like a week. And there's usually a spiritual night. And they have like this simulated activity. And one of them was like the second coming. They set up this carnival and you get tickets, you can play games. And if you go to the right place and drink this water, like Christ is the living water, then you're saved, but you don't really know that. So like you're like focused on these material things like, oh, I want this prize. And then like there's this thunder and you're supposed to go to the lake and there's like on one side of the lake is like, oh, you drank the water. You're great. And on the other side of the lake is like, oh, you didn't drink the water. Well, I'm sorry. Like you're going to have to wait until,
Till the second round.
till round 2. And I was crying because I was like, Daniel's going to be on the other side of the lake. Like we're not going to be in heaven together. Like I was bawling my eyes out because like, they just taught me that like I would never see him again. Like he wouldn't remember who I was after we died. Like he would be in the celestial kingdom and I'm in the celestial kingdom. Sunday school teachers.
I've never heard that I wouldn't remember who you were.
Yeah. Not even kidding. Like it
Fuck that.
tore me up growing up.
Just you and me stuck down here on Earth, buddy.
That is fucked.
Isn't that terrible?
I had a similar experience. So every Wednesday is what's called mutual, where it's another, I know.
Put it on the fucking list.
I know,
of
man.
like made up.
But it's another young person's indoctrination session during the week where you go and at first you're all together, boys and girls.
Have like opening exercises,
Yeah,
say a
and then
prayer, sing a hymn.
And then you separate to your genders.
Right.
And there was one activity that was planned for that where they set up this elaborate
Was it the iron rod?
maze, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get to the tree of life.
Where you're blindfolded.
Yep.
And then people are whispering, like talking to you
Like,
as you're
to get
walking
you to
down
let
this
go.
path.
Stray.
So if you follow the right voice, then you are led to the end and you go through this
A
partition.
veil.
And then guess who was on the other side?
Jesus.
Naked guy.
My fucking parents.
No way.
So they organized this whole thing with the parents of everyone in advance so that if you made it through, you would get the opportunity. Oh, I made the right choice. I made it through to my parents, which is what it's described as
Wow,
it
I
would be
didn't know
like.
that
That's a
happened
real,
to you.
that's a hard sell.
It fucking is. And that's exactly, well, it's called heart cell.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yes.
not.
Yes, it is. Exactly. Pull on the heartstrings. And I'll tell you, at that very moment,
Did
I was
you
like,
cry?
well, there's something to this. Like, I was happy to see my parents
Right.
as they've gone through that thing. It can be very emotional, and that's what it's
By
all
design,
based
yeah.
on. That's how it all works: is your emotions. If you subdue your logical thinking, rely on your emotions, which is what you are told to do in many different
Yeah.
ways, in so many words, over and over again. Your faith, your feelings are the truth.
Yeah, you'll confirm it for yourself.
Exactly.
You'll see meaning in things that
Of course, if
'Cause you
you're
want to see
looking
meaning,
for an answer, you will find it somehow.
Mhm.
So how long did it take after we started talking until you stopped with the rebuttals? It didn't. It felt not as long as I expected.
It really didn't take long. Like,
I thought if there was a chance that you would ever make it out, it would be years
yeah.
before it all worked through. If that ever happened, and I truly didn't expect it or plan on it.
Right. I graduated in December of 2017. I went to India, got back in February of 2018. I left for China in that September.
Yeah.
So within that space.
About a year ago, a little more than a year ago.
Yeah.
Then
over
we
the
started talking
space
about
of a year.
it together.
Yeah.
From the same perspective, pretty much.
Before I left, I had stopped wearing garments. I stopped going to
That
church.
was a huge moment when she took off her garments.
Yeah. We went to a movie and I looked in and I was like, I just want you to know that today's the first day that I'm not wearing my garments. And you were like, I am so proud.
It was. How much more comfortable were you?
Oh my God. I hated garments.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was cool at the time because like you're like, oh,
Well,
like
you're
my
special.
parents have worn these. Like I've always been waiting to wear these. Like I always knew I would. But like, no, they're super annoying.
Yeah.
I would wear them to exercise. Like I ran 7 miles in garments.
The only time you don't wear them is
when you're
bathing.
swimming. Yeah.
And swimming.
And, yeah. Right.
Just sounds like just sweaty bed sheet stuck to your body.
That's
basically.
exactly right.
Yeah. Super uncomfortable.
That's exactly right. Ugh.
I started watching like Zelf on the Shelf, which, you know,
Shout out.
post-Mormon infotainment. They're the best.
Yeah.
I seriously don't know what I would have done without them, like creating a space for me to be like, oh, this is what this looks like for someone my age to be transitioning out of the church, like going on this whole new journey, watching them progress over time. I love them. They've been great for me to like
For her
look
to hear from a voice of her age
yeah.
and, you know, similar background.
Have you, like, how many friends have you lost by not going to church? And
Well, the thing is, like, no one knows
right.
really at this point. Like, it's still so fresh.
No one knows
haven't-
for sure.
I haven't even like, yeah, like they're speculating, but I haven't like really had that conversation. I told one friend over email. She reached out to me.
And you were in China for a long time too. So
yeah,
China.
I was there for 10 months.
yeah. So all right. So
Yeah,
oh, of course you haven't been to church. You,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Right. But that was like a great excuse. Like I ran away to China
yeah.
where the
Pretty
church
much.
doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I highly recommend, you know, if you need to like decondition yourself, just go to a foreign country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, really helped.
Go to a
me,
communist
like,
country.
Shed,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Like, what?
There's a whole new bag of
I don't think so.
The hell are you talking about?
Yeah, they're like underground Christians in China, but yeah, like no one even knows what Mormon is. Like I am a new person in China.
She was there for 10 months.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Loved it. And I had so much time. So I read so much shit. Like so much. Mormon apologetics, watching all of these videos, talking to Daniel, like, oh my God, I didn't even think about this. And I read the Book of Mormon again. I read Rough Stone Rolling. I read
No Man Knows My History.
No Man Knows My History. Thank you. And read the CES letter. Reading the CES letter was like really like, okay, I'm done. You know?
For anyone who wants to know more about, well, for any believing Mormon who wants to know the questions that are being asked as to if the church is true, then why this?
Yeah.
And for anyone who wants to know from the outside, what are the weird things about the church that they think are true
Yeah.
that don't line up with reality?
Mm-hmm.
This is a man, Jeremy Runnels, who was a believing Mormon who had these questions, organized them into a written format.
It was an email, right? That he
Initially.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was all of these questions.
right. Sent it to the CES director, the church educational system.
Yeah. Expecting, because this is what he was told to do. If you have questions, ask somebody of authority.
Mm-hmm.
So he took his time to present
Compile
it
them.
to the person with the most authority in his mind, besides, you know, the prophet, and he never received an answer. So he published this as the CES letter, and it has led thousands of people out of the church who never knew either that these were legitimate questions because they're based on the truth of the history of the church, or they thought that whatever they had heard that was in here was a lie, and it's not. So you can read it for free at cesletter.org. Download a PDF or whatever, or you can buy a paperback copy, which I enjoy.
Yeah. I also read the church essays that they produced because like a lot of people were complaining like this information isn't readily available.
Which is in a large part a reaction
response-
to something like this.
Yeah. Polygamy, Book of Abraham,
Yeah.
Book of Mormon translation,
First Vision
all of those
accounts.
things. Yeah.
But even those gospel topic essays that they wrote for their own website
Did not help things.
have led people out of the church because, again, they didn't know that those things were actually true, that they were questions to be asked. And if they had gone their whole lives thinking that Joseph Smith was not a polygamist, and the church says, well, actually, yes, he did have more than 30 wives, and one of them was 14 years old. Well, then I've got some thinking to do.
Yeah. Some
And-
bad optics on that one.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had this like whole year to just kind of sift through things, let a lot of things go. And that was just a horrifying experience because like it was my entire like framework for the world.
Yeah,
I
dissolving.
saw everything through that lens, and then I just had nothing. I was like, okay.
Okay.
Because I'm afraid people are like, oh well, like you didn't care that much, and
Yeah.
like no, like
Oh, you can't say that to her.
I wanted it to be true. Like,
Yeah.
and I just can't believe it anymore.
My family learning that I'm not participating and that I'm actually, I have oppositions against the church. That's not a huge surprise.
No.
I didn't try that hard, obviously. And back then, I did my research and I put the work in to know what I was supposed to believe and decided that I don't believe that. This is a different story. You can't say that she didn't try.
Yeah, you don't spend 18 months knocking on
Right?
doors. And
No, and oh man, if my missionary self knew that this was going to happen,
No.
my brain would have exploded.
Do you regret spending that time on a mission?
I don't, just because I was so far one way and now I'm so far the other way. It's just such a valuable perspective to have.
sounds like a different person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the mission, they tell you stories like there are missionaries who go home and then they leave the church.
What?
Dun, dun, dun. And you're just like, that will never be me. Like, I will always be faithful.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like so dead set. Like, I remember coming home and being like, okay, these are my life goals. I am writing down my beliefs because they're like so concrete right now. Like, I cannot stray from this. It's just like, it was so clear to me at the time that it was true. And I'm just like, it's so clearly not. Like, I was so delusional.
Yeah.
And, now it was really hard to go through that transition. But at the same time, I'm really grateful for like being open to other life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just feel like way more open, way more accepting of other people.
You went to India at the right time. I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah. It was like a celebration for graduation and I loved it. And now I just want to keep traveling.
Like you saw the good things that were worth pursuing outside of the church in this huge culture.
Yeah. And I've read so many books. Like I have had so much time when I'm not reading the Book of Mormon 12 fucking times. Like, God. And like going to church for 3 hours every Sunday. It's 2 hours now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the time sucks.
The commitment, the callings,
Huge.
it's just like Sunday was gone. And now I'm just like, oh, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you'll
Second Saturday.
Watching like movies that I couldn't watch before, like not being able to watch rated R
I've
movies.
showed her so many of my favorite movies and I couldn't
TV shows.
in good conscience share with her before because of their rated
That's
R.
cool. Actually,
It's been so great.
you have such a great list of movies you could watch now.
Seriously.
Mhm.
I'm like so behind.
real movies, not
Yes.
Yeah.
Not like Joseph Smith, Prophet of the
Yeah.
Restoration for the 12th, like for the 15th time. It's just like
this is
actual
like
art.
the Beatles, like
Anything.
Anything. Oh man, like I dove so.
She's been
dove so deep.
Radiohead's been blowing her mind
Oh, yeah.
recently.
Oh my god! Like I was listening to that stuff before, but it wasn't like it was so surface level. Like I didn't get it. But now it's like so much more open.
Do you think you will ever go to church again?
I hopefully will never go back because on my birthday, I finally submitted my resignation to the church, and as of 2 days ago, it was official.
Wow.
So I resigned on my birthday, and it was official on his birthday.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, it feels really good.
And again, that was not my intent. Did not expect that at all.
No.
Did you have to do the same thing that Dan,
Exact
the
same thing.
lawyer?
Yeah.
And everything?
Mormon.org.
Yep, quit Mormon.
Thank you.
And the church and their lawyers have continually made it more and more difficult to do and a longer process to go through.
Mhm.
So it took longer for her for that to be completed.
Yeah.
And even just recently, they've made it more difficult.
Yeah.
There's more hoops to jump through, which is legally not necessary and paints them even in a worse light.
Yeah.
That it's so difficult.
So hard.
Oh,
to
we're
believe.
switching from computers to paper records. It's going to take a little while.
Sorry.
To find. Yeah.
You're going to need a notary. You have to have a notary now.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Which, what the fuck, man? You should be able to call a number and say, this is me. This is my membership record. Delete it. I'm out.
Let me go.
It's so stupid.
So
That's
no
not
one,
anyone in my
no one really
house.
knows that though.
No.
As we're recording.
Not
right
that. I mean, most of my my family.
I mean her.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, most of my family doesn't know that I'm
you
not
know
officially a
That
member
we're both
anymore.
out now. In order to have that conversation, I'm going to have to think of a better opener than like, so I'm not
a
Mormon
Mormon
anymore.
Truly, I do feel bad for them
Yeah.
having the loss of
Yeah.
the example of her.
The golden child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad about this because she deserves it and she earned it.
Yeah.
I do feel bad for them. I don't want my family to feel
Yeah. I don't want to
that.
upset
It's a
them.
big loss, but they don't understand how important it is
If that
to
news
find
is
truth.
widely known in the church, I mean, does that put them in an awkward situation?
I think it does,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
because
Right. Like, what are they going to say?
Yeah.
How's Lisa doing?
Well, she's
she's-
sleeping with the devil and she's going straight to hell. And it's Dan's fault.
yeah,
So
and our son is
our son led her astray. And how are your kids? How's Calvin and Monica? Oh, they're married. They both have 9 kids.
and they're all
A
serving
promotion.
full-time missions.
No. Wow. She still has time to volunteer after all that. God bless you. That's going to be your parents.
Yeah, pretty much. Our sister, who we love
She's
very
their
much,
only hope now.
is still
Back to the
Way
Jedi
in.
references here. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Our home, the last
hope.
hope.
Yeah. You are my only hope.
And to her credit, when I came out to her,
We're here. We're
she
clear. We're not Mormon.
She was as receptive as I could have hoped
Yeah.
she could be. You know,
Right.
like, I love you anyway. Because there is a real fear for some people, a legitimate concern that your family or your friends will turn their back on you.
Yeah.
Your friends more likely than your own family.
Yeah.
But it does happen.
Yeah.
Shun City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
And so far, it's okay.
One of my friends who had reached out to me and told her the truth. And I haven't heard back from her.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's just busy or what, but yeah.
Wow.
She's just fasting. She's been fasting since I told her. I'm just kidding. She's like,
starving.
please God,
Guys,
help her.
she's dead. She starved to death.
Have they found her?
Guys. Podcast over. 911 time.
Was there any other questions that you had about?
Not really. I mean, this is the 400th time I'll say it. It's like none of this makes any sense.
Mm-mm.
And I think,
Not when you really try to make sense of it.
but I think even you two talking about it, you're talking at 1,000,000 miles an hour to someone who doesn't.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, because the stuff that you grew up with.
Yeah. Second nature.
Well, so then you go to the temple, but then you get your endowment of power. So with that, you can go, and now you have a covenant. Like that's what it sounds like.
Let's see, you have beehives, Maya maids, laurels,
Yeah.
priesthood.
Well,
Ironic,
I'm only 15, so I'm an elder. But next year I'm gonna be a priest. Like that. It's like
It's like listening to Scientology.
And when you're in it, you feel like you are above other people because you know the truth.
I thought it was so important.
it's like someone trying. So if someone came in here and started talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and
Oh, boy.
and just like,
Right.
okay, well with this
the
spell,
scrolls
you have
and
you have a +7, but not
sorcery.
if it's augmented by a magic power ring. Now you can only get the magic power ring though if you have a diamond of
If
infinity.
you have 2 points of
The
invisibility
diamond of
shields.
that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just like
But because I think that's the
out of
part
this world.
that like I want to go find it. I want to find a topic that is like that and have someone else talk about it
Yeah.
to you two.
Right.
And then I can just kind of go,
This.
You see?
this is what it's
here.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what it sounds like.
From the outside. Yeah.
And then that person saying, and this is true.
Yeah. And not only it's the
And.
most true for sure of all of them, bar none, the one true gospel.
Yeah. That's been the like it's so like esoteric and just it's just in its own world.
Yeah, it's totally of its time. The origins of it are so of its own time.
But it's an echo chamber
Yeah.
within. So it's like all these phrases and terms only exist within
Right.
the church. So it's a secret language. So people who are on the outside who don't understand what the hell you're talking about, they just don't.
Well, you don't have the Spirit.
They
and
clearly
you
don't have
get it.
spirit. You're not valiant. You don't have any testimony.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I can help you with that. Here's a Book
Yeah.
of Mormon.
We'll send some missionaries to you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple 18-year-olds are going to show up.
Yeah.
Wearing
They'll tell you what's what.
Yeah.
with like extra underwear on. And
They have a lot of layers. They're going to need some water. You
they're
should
going to need
give
some
them
water.
of
They're
that.
sweating. This is Florida. It's August. Someone stop.
So, Lisa, I am super proud of you,
Thank you.
and not because of the results, but because of how you got there.
You're like, I won.
I really don't feel that
I
way.
know.
And I feel very hesitant to feel that
Well,
way.
kidding.
that's the point. The point of all of this is your life to live.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
And that finally
And
feels
if,
that way.
and if you want to stay in the church, I can imagine Dan
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
caring
Of course.
more or less one way or the other.
I am super lucky that I
Yeah.
have a brother as supportive and open-minded and caring, because I don't know that I ever would have gotten out.
Yeah, there are other versions of life.
Yeah.
There are other
Paths.
universes
Yeah.
where you're married in
Right. And
Yeah.
miserable.
Mormon time.
Yeah.
Moment time.
Mormon
Moment
City.
time.
I wouldn't
You
have,
get an endowment. You get an endowment.
I wouldn't have been able to have someone to talk to so honestly if I
Yeah.
already knew that she was already more
That far
open-minded.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But where she was, but she was also open-minded enough to listen to me
Yeah.
about what I
Your concern
was concerned about. So,
It just allowed for open discussion.
yeah. And I know that there was a level of facetiousness about it, but at one point she told me, "You saved my life."
Mm-hmm.
And I know that in so many words, I know she meant that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
My hero.
Thank you both for introducing a bunch of words to my vocabulary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously.
you have some homework if you want it.
No, I
don't.
I think it is really great you two have each other
Oh,
for
yeah.
this kind of thing,
Yeah.
especially because
I would lose my mind.
it's
If I was alone in this and I couldn't talk to
Oh
if I
my
could not,
God.
if I didn't feel I could talk to my family about any of this,
something
from-
that's so
Like,
important to them
so
too.
lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I feel the same way about my parents and my sister and my
Right.
grandmother and all of them. I love you no matter what, but
Right.
I want to talk to you about what I think you don't know about what you.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
spending
Believe.
a lot of your
Just
life.
so that you know.
Yeah,
If you're happy with that, great.
that's right.
But like, I am so much happier now.
Yeah, me too.
Like, just a huge relief.
And it's going to be so hard for them to believe that. How could you be
I know.
happy if you don't have the gospel?
It's an oxymoron. Like,
Yeah,
non-member happy. What?
having the gospel is happiness.
Yeah.
People waste their lives in a lot of ways. I'm not immune to having the feeling of when is my life going to start, even today, and kind of existing in a world or existing in this state of like I feel like I'm perpetually remembering the moment
Mhm.
as opposed to being in the moment.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and I think that a lot of people they use religion's not an answer, but it's a crutch.
Mhm.
They don't have to think about it
Yeah.
as much.
Ready-made answers.
Yeah.
I had literally an answer for everything.
And you don't even need an answer. You just
Yeah.
need to not think about something.
True.
Like it could be whatever. Like,
Yeah.
well, the sky's blue and that's good enough for me. You know, like
Right.
it doesn't answer any questions or anything.
Yeah.
It's just, it is what it is.
Like, God's ways are higher than our ways.
Okay. Going to bed,
Okay.
you know?
It's a mystery.
And like I told you, I've gotten to the place where I think about stuff like that and wonder what is the answer. But then, does there need to be an answer?
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah.
ever going to understand how any of this began or how it got to this point? Does it have to have an explanation?
Yeah.
The hard part is getting okay with that.
Yeah, and I think too the idea that religion makes people happy or religion does good. It's just
A lot of other things could do just as good.
The exact same thing. Take up painting. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be a supernatural.
No,
balm
I
on
think
your-
the most
your mind.
I think the most humble, the most grounded, the most quote unquote spiritual people.
I'm sitting right here, Dan.
Yeah, I'm looking at you, bud. Are the people that identify with an ideology that is about humans
Yeah.
and about understanding your mind, what that is, and what it's not, and what this world is and what it is not.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I've gravitated towards. Buddhism being one example, but the ideas of Buddhism could be and have been acknowledged by all kinds of other faiths or just secular ideas, and meditation is one of the greatest things a human being can do. And there's no one way to do it, but just the simple activity of trying to be quiet and be introspective.
And accept things as they are. Yeah.
This is happening.
Yeah.
And it's just happening. One of the greatest things about that thought process, that spiritual practice, you don't have to believe that the Buddha was a real person or that he's a deity or that he was birthed from his mother's side. None of that is necessary in order to
Pay attention to your breathing and
accept the ideals of no self and oneness.
The interconnectedness
Yeah.
of all beings.
So check that shit out.
Check it.
Well,
That was great.
I think we've done it.
I enjoyed this.
I think we've done it.